Well, hello everyone and happy Friday. It's digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Friday's version of Before the Four, the live stream where I take you through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. Wherever you're watching Before the Four today, whether that's on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream, I got to say it, I got to thank you so much for watching and spending just a bit of your Friday afternoon here. Well, let's turn it over to 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis for a look at the latest forecast heading into the weekend. How's it looking, Brad?
Well, as we go down the road, we're still watching closely this storm threat coming our way for Tuesday into Wednesday. Right now, things are quiet, but this Tuesday, Wednesday time frame, we've extended the First Alert weather day through the morning hours on Wednesday because there could still be some wind gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour behind the storm. The overall storm system itself is very, very powerful. As far as today goes, it's been beautiful. It's been a little breezy, bit of a fire danger out there. We've had some wildfires and grass fires, so be careful if you're going to have any flame out there. In fact, area firefighters recommend you don't have any flame out there. This evening, temperatures will fall back into the 50s. It's not going to be too bad of a night out there. The winds will die down a bit too at about 7 to 8 miles an hour. Over the next 3 days, 61 tomorrow. We've got a cold front coming in. This one's actually going to be quite strong. It's not producing any rain, but we're going to get down to 29 degrees Sunday morning, 52 for the high, and then back down to freezing again on Monday. Monday's high 63. Again, a lot more on the First Alert weather days coming next week, coming up at 4, 5, 6, and 10.
Well, thank you, Brad. Certainly good to know. Now in Hanceville, last night, officials held a city council meeting. It's first since last week's news involving the police department. Several residents voiced their concerns last night and shared stories involving their own experience with Hanceville police. 48's Nick Ballinger was there, and let's see what he learned.
Anger.
You're the accountable ones.
Embarrassment.
If you were looking to invest in a city in Alabama, would you come to Hanceville right now?
And tears. All from Hanceville residents after their city's police department was found to be a, quote, threat to public safety and run more like a, quote, criminal enterprise by a grand jury last week.
Get rid of the dirt. Get rid of the fraud.
Many here believe 5 former Hanceville police officers have left a stain on the department after being charged with multiple felonies, including tampering with evidence. The arrests come after a massive corruption investigation that was spurred by the drug overdose death of a 911 dispatcher on the job. City Clerk Tanaya Wilcox says employees tried to sound the alarm months ago.
Help was requested 5 months before the dispatch supervisor died.
Lifelong resident Ryan Campbell used the moment to share his encounters with officers.
That officer hit me from behind, which I can't hardly still walk, with his knee, took me to the ground, and beat me mercifully.
The arrests of 5 officers left only 3 remaining in an already small department, and now all have been placed on administrative leave. The council decided to table its decision on the future of the department to allow more time for thought. Majority of the residents don't want Coleman County deputies patrolling their city. They want their department back.
I have yet met the first person that wants to see the police department dismantled.
And the increased responsiveness. That, in the worst of the worst situations, is when you wish you did have a local police department.
I recommend that we keep our police department. Let's keep the revenue in this town. Let's have paying jobs in this town.
Well, now in Huntsville, let's take a look at the latest Huntsville area Crime Stoppers to see who police and 48's Gina Benitez need your help stopping this week.
Quality clothing can be pricey, and some people don't want to cough up that kind of cash, so they choose to steal. But cameras were rolling at one local store, and police are hoping these images will help them track down these 2 accused thieves.
On February 8th, investigators say these 2 walked into the Boot Barn off the Parkway. Cops say they started taking items and then took off without paying for them. The store is now out $1,300 worth of merchandise. If you recognize them, Huntsville police want to hear from you. This is Benjamin Chase. Police say he opened multiple accounts at a local bank using a fake ID. And now that bank is out almost $58,000. K'Area Howard is accused of going into an Academy Sports with several others and stealing multiple Nike items. She's wanted for organized retail theft. Police want to bring in Jose Luis Orozco Rosales for embezzling. They say while working at Belk, he took some $1,700 worth of merchandise. Raymond Woods is wanted for leaving the scene of an accident with injuries. They say he hit a pedestrian on University Drive. Cops say Daniel Hetherington made 3 fraudulent transactions at a local bank and withdrew more than $2,800. He's wanted for theft of property from a banking institution. And Timmy Anthony is wanted for sexual abuse of a child less than 12 years old. It's easy to earn up to $1,000. If you have information that can help police, just call 256-53-CRIME or scan that QR code on your screen. For more information, visit the Crime Stoppers link on our website, WAFF.com.
Well, yesterday, former youth softball coach Bradley Loggins, a man convicted of 7 counts of sex crimes, was sentenced to life in prison. 48's Noah Cowell with his story.
Bradley Loggins came back to court this morning, almost 3 months after being convicted on all 7 counts he faced. And today, Judge Matt Huggins handed down the maximum sentences on all 7 counts, telling Loggins, quote, "May God have mercy on your soul, because this court will not." It's been over 5 years since Bradley Loggins was accused and charged with sexually abusing 5 women when they were children. Loggins was convicted on all 7 counts in December and now faces 200 years in prison.
You will not sexually abuse a child here in Limestone County and get away with it. You will not get a light sentence. There will be consequences to doing that, and the sentence that Bradley Loggins received today reflects the gravity of that.
Loggins was given a chance to speak before being sentenced, but he refused. This came after 4 of the victims and 2 mothers gave emotional statements in court, calling Loggins a monster.
These young women adequately explained to the court during the trial and during the sentencing hearing how this has affected them, and their words should be the ones to echo in Bradley Loggins' head for the rest of his life. What none of the rest of us said is as important as what these young ladies have said for years.
Before handing down the sentence, Judge Huggins told Loggins he would keep his message short so that Loggins could easily remember the words of his victims. And he also added he wants Loggins to reflect every day on what he did to these women. Reporting in Athens, Noah Cowell, 48 News, on your side.
And now let's head out to Athens, to the early 1900s. On this final day of Black History Month, we're looking at the historic Old Easy Street, a street that served as a home to several Black-owned businesses. 48 Sarah Grace Kennedy shows us.
I'm standing in the Marshall County corners.
Old Easy Street in Athens had a series of Black-owned shops that were built between 1920 and 1932. 5 shops ran north and south near the railroad tracks between Hobbs and Market Streets.
We have found some pictures of the business owners, but there were a couple of cafes, barber shops, a vet office that operated there.
Those businesses were named Bell Cafe, Simmons Grisby Barber Shop, Coble Barber Shop, Higgins Cafe, and Dr. B.F. Hill's veterinary office. Easy Street slowly started to erase from the city's history after most of those buildings were demolished in the mid-70s. However, there's still one shop left standing.
We actually found out that the very back of our building was actually one of the original 5 Black businesses that stood facing the railroad.
Danny Whitfield is the owner of Market in Monroe. Whitfield told me that his building used to be a Black-owned barber shop after city leaders announced plans to develop an art trail in honor of Easy Street. That art trail will include murals, informational signs, and other pieces of art that help tell the story of Easy Street. Holly Hallman with the City of Athens says they've been asking people for any archives pictures that they may have of Easy Street to include in the trail. However, that search has not been too successful.
We've lost a lot of that history. We've been trying to pull photos that people may have of the businesses or inside of the businesses, and we haven't really been able to find much.
Holman says it's truly sad that there are not many records of Old Easy Street.
We don't need to lose any part of our history, and this is so important, and there's hopefully there's some family members still left that can help tell us the story.
Whitfield tells me despite that lost history, he is continuing to highlight the remaining details of the old building.
These pilasters you see behind me are the last remains of those 5 businesses. And that's why when we refurbished the building, we highlighted these to where people could see actually where those old businesses were at.
Whitfield says he's looking forward to people eventually walking down the art trail to learn about the history of those shops that once thrived there.
We really didn't know what we were buying when we bought it, but it's turned into something the town can be proud of. And I look forward to working with the city to see this vision of theirs come true.
Holman tells me the city is still committed to finding more information on Easy Street.
We need to celebrate, what a great name, Easy Street. We need to celebrate the history that was there, because you can learn so much from your history and learn how to do better and learn challenges that people face, challenges they overcame. You can learn about what made Athens, Athens.
In Athens, Sarah Grace Kennedy, 48 on your side.
Awesome story there. And now coming up after the break, we'll go through the fiery meeting between Zelensky and Trump today in the Oval Office, the latest in high school hoops, and things you can check out this weekend. It's all ahead. I'll see you all in 1 minute. Well, hello and welcome back to Before the Four. Now, a White House meeting that started out to be a kickoff for negotiation over rare earth minerals suddenly turned into a confrontation between 2 world leaders. President Trump and Vice President Vance, along with Ukrainian President Zelensky, shouting over one another in the Oval Office today. NBC's Julie Turskin has all the details from Capitol Hill.
What began as a meeting to discuss a historic peace deal that could have ended the brutal war in Ukraine quickly spiraled into a standoff between President Trump, Ukrainian President Zelensky, and Vice President Vance.
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
The tense exchange, unprecedented in the Oval Office, the room traditionally reserved for diplomacy, capped off weeks of a public feud between the 2 leaders.
God bless. God bless you.
Zelensky and European allies uneasy that President Trump is inching closer toward Russian President Vladimir Putin, who started the full-scale invasion 3 years ago.
I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world.
The day started amicably, with Trump and Zelensky expected to sign a deal for Ukraine's rare earth minerals in exchange for U.S. support and long-term security.
We have something that is a very fair deal, and we look forward to getting in and digging.
Really, I hope that this first document will be first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine.
Instead, it appears President Trump scrapping the plan for now, posting on social media, "I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage, I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace." Not long after the president's post, Zelensky left the White House at his urging.
And earlier this morning, a bipartisan group of senators, including Trump ally Lindsey Graham, met with Ukrainian President Zelensky. After that Oval Office blow-up, Graham said that Zelensky either needs to resign or change his tune if there is any hope of peace for the war-torn country. In Washington, Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
Now in some sports, some exciting news for the Pisgah Eagles girls basketball team as they toppled Decatur Heritage 84-72 in the Class 2A state finals. Paisley Patalis led the high-flying Eagles in scoring a 20-piece nugget today. She was one of 4 other players from Pisgah to have double-figure points. MVP of the game, Madeline Flamia, finished with 15 points and 7 assists. The victory marks the 11th time in program history Pisgah is taking home the blue map. It's first since 2022. Congrats to the Eagles today. Well done. And now the Lauderdale County girls defeated St. James today in overtime, 58-52. What a game that was. After getting down early and rallying their way back to the finish, Shyla Marks named MVP with an outstanding 32 points and 4 rebounds. Congrats to the Tigers, an epic comeback. A comeback for the books, honestly. And, of course, that's not all. The Mars Hill boys, last I checked, they're finishing up their game against Montgomery this afternoon. Plainview boys are coming up later today, and the Scottsboro girls tomorrow morning. Tomorrow night at 5:45, the Florence Falcons boys team will soar to the floor to face off in their first ever state championship against the undefeated Hoover Buccaneers. 48's Cam Durr was at the Florence semifinal game last night. Take a listen to what got them to the finals.
Carl, behind an electric 40-piece night by senior Jalen Chandler and a flock of Falcons that made their way here to Birmingham's Legacy Arena, the Florence boys basketball team continues down their historic trek and will play in the final game of the season. Florence first had to get past Fairhope, and the game was a back-and-forth battle most of the way, but the Falcons stayed in control by halftime, leading by 5 at the break, and extended that lead to as much as 15 in the third quarter before the Pirates started closing back in. Fairhope came within 5 points before awakening the beast. To win this game was Jalen Chandler. The senior was unstoppable in the paint, finished 15 for 25 down low for an impressive 41 points and 10 rebounds, helping the Falcons secure a late lead, nearly half of his points coming in the final frame as Florence flew on to a 74-62 win over Fairhope.
It just makes your team that much better. And so, he's a guy that can face up. He's a guy that can play with his back to the basket. He's shown his ability to be a catch-and-shoot guy from the perimeter. But also, too, he facilitated the ball down there tonight as well.
And a 40-point performance like that doesn't happen on an empty stomach.
Yeah, we had bomb. At first, I want to go to Zaxby's because that's my favorite meal. But everybody else want to go to that. So, I ate that. I felt good. And I got some good night of rest. Woke up this morning, another shoot-around. I just came out here and just played.
So the Class 7A state title card is set. The Florence Falcons boys will have their hands full with Hoover coming up on Saturday. Tip-off is set for 5:45 p.m. Reporting in Birmingham, Cam Durr, 48 Sports, on your side.
Definitely rooting for them. Go Falcons of Florence. First ever appearance, but they will certainly have their hands full against Hoover, which is just a juggernaut all across this state, I have learned. But now some exciting news for you all watching at home. This weekend, here in our 48 Now/CTV Center, we will be launching a brand new digital show titled The 48 Recap. Digital host Tatiana White will be leading the charge in taking you through this week's top stories, as well as some interesting and exciting things to check out here in North Alabama. The first episode of the 48 Recap will stream tomorrow, Saturday at 3 p.m. So make sure to give it, and of course Tatiana, some love tomorrow. It is going to be some exciting stuff. But now I think it is about time for a little bit of Facebook fun. What do you all at home say about that? That is right, our 48 Facebook question of the day. Who is the best TV character of all time? And there are so many to choose from. I don't even know where to begin, but let's see what you all had to say. Mike Ferguson said Otis Campbell and Barney Fife. You cannot go wrong with the classic Andy Griffith Show right there. Barney Fife, incredible character. I actually got to meet Barney Fife at Mayberry Days this past year in Valley Head, Alabama. That was an awesome sight. Awesome festival, by the way. Definitely love that. Well, Mike, thank you so much for commenting. Lori, staying in Andy Griffith, Ernest T. Bass. Gotta love Ernest T. Bass. He is one of my favorite characters as well. He is just so funny. Lori, thank you so much for commenting. Harold said George Costanza, of course, the George Costanza from the sitcom Seinfeld. An incredible show there, and I know my parents, if they're watching right now, I think that is one of their favorite characters as well. They love George, and I love George. Awesome. Harold, thank you so much for commenting. Scott said Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm, 100%. Another classic there. Scott, thank you for commenting. And then Mike, he said Walter Heisenberg White. Of course, from Breaking Bad, an incredible character. That show has such incredible character development, whether it's Walter, whether it's Jesse Pinkman, whether it's Saul even, every single Hank even, every character in that show has incredible character development. Awesome choice there, Mike, and everyone who commented today, thank you so much for commenting. It always makes my day seeing what you all have to say. But that is just about it for today's Before the Four, but I want to thank you all for sticking around this Friday afternoon and just spending a bit of time watching Before the Four. If you haven't done so already, make sure you download the 48 digital app, the 48 First Alert Weather app, and the 48 Sport Zone app. Turn on those push notifications and you will never miss a breaking news story. And again, wherever you're watching Before the Four today, make sure you tune in tomorrow at 3 o'clock. That's on Facebook, YouTube, or our website, the 48 Now live stream, and see Tatiana White's first ever 48 Now recap. That is right. Well, you all have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and do something fun.